on Facebook Live, there we go, and on YouTube, to Kansas City Oasis. Since 2014, Oasis has been the premier secular alternative to faith-based communities. We welcome all regardless of belief or non-belief, race, gender, sexual orientation, identity, or any other trait. We feel the human experience is better when it is shared. And we're so pleased that you have chosen to share it with us this morning. Our Kansas City Oasis mission statement is to educate members in the values of humanism, provide social support to the community, produce educational programs for the general public, and to engage in acts of charitable service. And we have an amazing program for you guys today. Our featured speakers are Joan Shields and Jocelyn Ball-Edson on the City of Fountains Foundation. Our musical guest is Margot Reed, and our community moment will be given to us by Elisa Berndt. All right, and with that, Margot is a singer-songwriter who initially played for us in April of 2023, back when we were meeting in UMKC. Since then, she's traveled around the world and has recently returned to KC. Please give a warm Oasis welcome back to Margot Reed.
Hi, so happy to be here. Also, coolest intro I've ever gotten. Cool, I'm gonna play some songs today that I wrote, and I hope you like them. And if you don't, that's okay. You don't have to tell me about it. Okay, this one is called San Francisco.
I stand still when my skin begins to crawl. I didn't know that I could fall from so high. Forgot how to cry and forgot how to feel. Overwhelmed with heavy air. Is anyone at all aware of the night? But are we going to San Francisco? I need to get away. Say the word, I'll go and you go. I got my suitcase packed, a guitar I can barely play. 'Cause I've been going, trying my best to save face. But are we going to San Francisco? Show me the way. If it's the light, the new day to begin. But each phase just stays the same, and there's no end. The fleeting feeling of unfamiliar things, and not effervescent, quite the same. It'll never seem to change. But are we going to San Francisco? Need to get away. Say the word, I'll go and you go. I got my suitcase packed, a guitar I can barely play. 'Cause I've been going, trying my best to save face. But are we going to San Francisco? Show me the way. Feeling like never before. And I'm stuck frozen, wanting more. Glued behind the glow of the screen. I was where I wanted to be. But are we going to San Francisco? I need to get away. Hey, 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 hey. Get away. Say the word, I'll go when you go. I got my suitcase packed, a guitar I can barely play. Cause I've been going, trying my best to save face. Ooh, but are we going to San Francisco? Please show me the way. Hey, 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 hey,
Thank you. Guys, I don't know if you could tell, but one of the places I did go was San Francisco. But I actually wrote that song before I went there, and then I visited, and then I went back for longer. Love that place. I used to always say that I used to write songs about boys, but now I just write songs about saying goodbye. I've been a lot of cool places, and this song is, I wrote this song when I left the Colorado Rockies. I worked in the Colorado Rockies, and it was really cool, and it was such a great experience, but all good things must come to an end. This is called Farewell.
Packing up, letting go all the places I used to know. Hold your tears, it's not time to say goodbye. Here we go, start anew, all the things that I gotta do. I know it's hard, but all I have is just one more night. And I won't forget all the hands that have played these strings. And I won't regret the moments and memories. I hold these feelings tight like you through the night. Oh my. And though I'm losing time, I won't say goodnight. I won't cry. You help me go and let me show my light. And though I'm losing time, I won't say goodbye. Oh, I'll try to keep the memory alive. Keep the memory alive. It's just that I have to go to find my potential and growth. I burn it out. I stretched myself until I was thin. It wasn't simple, not a walk in the park. The wheel was tough. Hey, this is a start. Pick myself up by my bootstraps and go far. I hold these feelings tight like you through the night. Oh my. And though I'm losing time, I won't say goodnight. I won't cry. You help me go and let me show my light. And though I'm losing time, I won't say goodbye. Oh, I'll try. I want try to keep the memory alive. Farewell to the why.
Thank you so much, Margot. I can see why we wanted you back so badly. I was actually bawling during that second song. Thank you so much. Okay, guys. Some birthdays. Who likes birthdays? On September 8th, we have David and Trinity. September 9th, Amy and JJ. September 10th, Kevin and Marge. September 11th, Will and Peggy. And September 13th, Russ and Audra. And does anyone else have any birthday or celebration this week that they want us all to know about? All right, moving on. And let's give a big round of applause for our volunteers of the week. Special thanks to Julie Manning and Jimmy Otten and Jason for taking on the Herculean task of landscaping around the Oasis Center. So everybody give them a round of applause, please. Thank you so much, guys. And we are always looking for more volunteers to round out our committees and to assist with our weekly Sunday gatherings. In the lobby, near the drink station, you will see these boxes. Please pick up a card during coffee break or after our meeting from the Need Help box, and when you complete the task, you can place it in the All Done box. Blue cards are intended for weekly tasks, and white cards are intended for monthly tasks. If you love this secular community, then consider helping us out to keep it going. Sign up this week to join a fall community group. We know that larger groups, like this Sunday gathering, are really good for creating community, but it can be challenging to form those closer connections. In the spirit of building those connections among community members, Oasis hosts small groups in the spring and the fall. These 6-week, bi-weekly meetings have discussions on a wide range of topics. Now is the time to sign up to join a community group. Meetings begin the week of September 21st. QR code up there. Would recommend you join. It's a great time. As you know, here at Oasis, one of our core beliefs is human hands solve human problems. A part of how we make that happen is through our care response team. Let us know if you would like to join this team. If you're going through a challenging time and need some assistance, the care response team is there. Please let us know of any retirements, weddings, births, deaths in the family, illnesses, hospitalizations, or anyone you know who would appreciate us reaching out to you. And Micah Ministry, that's going to be the 8th on Monday, serves hundreds of people a meal on Monday evenings from 5:15 to 7:15. They help anyone, regardless of race, gender, religious or non-religious affiliation, sex, sexual orientation, or any other trait. On this Monday, come join us in helping our less fortunate neighbors. And starting this Tuesday is an 8-week intermediate East Coast swing dance class. Let's go. Super excited. Every Tuesday through October 28th from 6:30 to 7:30. $15 per class, or if you want a discount, $100 total for all classes if paid at first class. That's $20 in savings, y'all. See the event for more details. Join us this Thursday, September 18th, at an open mic night at the Fillmore Cafe, which is a coffee shop and bar in Unity Village. You can listen to a variety of talent performing or sign up to perform yourself. Sign-ups start at 5:45. And this month's game night is on Thursday, September 25th. Come join us from 7 to 9 p.m. That sounds like a great time to me. Friday, September 26th is pop-up swing night. Some more dancing. The first 30 minutes is an East Coast swing dance for beginners or a refresher, and then an open dance from 8 to 10 p.m. We don't care if you haven't been dancing in years, if you've been dancing for years or have never stepped foot on a dance floor. Entrance fee is $10, and you can dress however you want. Embrace an era or show up in sweats. We just want you to enjoy the night. And then on Saturday, the 27th, you can join us for an afternoon of great music from Erica McKenzie, the one-woman band at Casey Wine Company in Olathe, from 2 to 5 p.m. Was that a lot to remember and keep track of? Don't worry. You can keep up to date on what's going on at KC Oasis by signing up for our weekly email newsletter. Go to kcoasis.org and look under What's Happening for the newsletter to sign up. Or you can just scan this QR code. We all good? Sick. All right, guys. For today's community moment, we will hear from Elisa Berndt. The 3 words to describe themselves are humanist, hippie, nerd. If they had a warning label, it would be, "We'll dance like no one's watching while you're watching." Everybody, give a big round of applause for Elisa Berndt.
What was that? Well, thank you. All right, everyone. Welcome to my first community moment. Thank you, thank you. It only took me 8 months to figure out what I wanted to say that I could pare down to 13 minutes. So bear with me, because we might have to rush a little bit today. Well, yes, so today we're going to talk about how I got here, why I'm here at Oasis with all of you. It's like Harry, that is Greek for hello, if anyone cares to know. All right, and so to begin, I figured the best place to start would be to take you way back when VHSs were in use. And then, a long time ago, back when my family used to go to this sandwich shop after church every Sunday. I want to tell you about, I kind of wanted to share with you an impression I had from this picture that I remember because they had, it was a kind of shop where they kept, they had these big blow-up photos on the walls for decor. You've probably seen places like that. And I remember as a kid, every time we went there, without fail, there was one picture in particular. Can you hear me? I'm like, taking this away, okay. There's one picture in particular that would always draw my attention. I would study it over and over again. So bear with me for a second, because I'm going to try and describe this. One thing I remember about it is that it was green, like the backdrop was green, and I think it was taken in front of a hedge or something. Like, it could have been a tree, I'm not sure, I don't remember. But there were 4 people in front of the picture. The camera was taken it was at a bit of an angle, and you didn't see all of them. It was like, it was cut off at the chest. What fascinated me about the picture was the expressions on the faces of these 4 people. Because in general, they had a semi-uniform appearance. They all had like similar haircuts, similar jackets and everything. They're all kind of looking off to the side, same direction. But each of them was distinct in a certain way, and I would look at their faces. There's one guy who looks kind of dour. He actually kind of scared me. He looks so stone-faced. And then another one, he's kind of pleasant, kind of like very mildly in a good mood, not really committing to it. Got one guy who looks almost forlorn. And then I would look at each of them in turn. For such a long time, it would take me a second to realize I was wrong. They were not all looking in the same direction, like I had assumed. One of them was looking dead into the camera. And once you noticed him, of course, you're like, oh, he's the most fascinating of all. He's got like this, I don't know, he's got like that kind of flatline smirk, almost smirk. Like, okay, is this a look of contempt? Is he just kind of pleasantly amused and we're allowed to be in on the joke? Or is this actually sadness? Is this a thoughtful sadness that I'm seeing? And so as a kid, I couldn't articulate any of what I was feeling looking at this picture, but I would describe it now as like a kind of cozy uncertainty, if you will. And then also in the picture was something some of you may have guessed, despite my best efforts, and that is in the upper left-hand corner were these big orange letters that spelled out rubber soul. Yeah, in addition to being raised evangelical, I was also homeschooled, which means I had read the Bible all the way through by the time I was 13 the first time, but I'd never gotten a proper introduction to the Beatles. Yeah, and like,
it's not like I lived under a rock. I mean, I'd heard parodies of Yesterday. I'd seen the Muppets version of I'm Looking Through You. Great, I love Jim Henson so much. And like, but I like thought Daydream Believer was a Beatles song, for crying out loud. That is how pathetic my education was. So anyway, some of you are wondering, like, how on earth does this have to do with how you got here? What do the Beatles have to do with this? Let me put it this way. April 2014, you meet me. I am the most ardent, enthusiastic little fundy you've ever met. Go to church every Sunday, Bible study on Thursdays, read my Bible every day. I got the prayer journal steeped in apostles, the whole thing. I know some of you are feeling some vomit at the back of your mouths, okay. May 2014, I decide on a whim, I should check out the Beatles, catch up on this thing everyone else keeps talking about. 2 months later, I have the thought, no one deserves to go to hell. Yeah, yeah, I know. So when I hear other people talk about their deconversion or deconstruction from Christian fundamentalism, I hear a lot of similar themes, like, you know, the science not adding up to a literal six-day creation, if you were raised creationist like some of us, discrepancies in the Bible, discrepancies in the historical record, the, you know, personal anecdotes or viewing the real damage that so many churches have done to real people in the real world. And like, all of these are incredibly valid reasons to question any institution. Unfortunately, none of them were quite enough to give me the push that I needed. Much as I wish I could say otherwise, believe me. But regardless of what it says about me, I think there is still some value in my story. So, see, I had a lot to insulate me where I was in my life. Part of the insulation was the charming Christian music industry. Most of the music that I listen to, and I'm already hearing murmurs like, oh boy, oh boy. Yeah, if you've ever heard bands like Skillet or Third Day, DC Talk, you know the formula. I'm so bad, but you're so good. Yeah, I hope this doesn't trigger anyone, but you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, so I was used to feeling uplifted or good or even loved when I listened to music, but only after swallowing a healthy spoonful of self-deprecation and guilt first. Because that's the key to fundamentalist culture, isn't it? You gotta feel constantly low about yourself in order to make God's love good by contrast. In order to receive amazing grace, you have to first be a wretch. So, yeah, and of course, people in my community would have been like, oh, but God values you. And it's like, okay, yeah, but he is the only one who's allowed to do that. Meaningfully, you have to look at yourself like, oh, if I have value, it's because God, you know, God made me valuable. If I do anything of value for anyone, it's God working through me. But if you make a mistake, that's not God. That's you. You made a mistake because you're a sinner. So that is my understanding, that is my comprehension of love at this point in my life. I say comprehension like I could comprehend it, but of course you can't, as a human being, you can't really comprehend love. I know this is a really charming, lighthearted topic. So that's where I'm at. And then I hear these words. I'll tell you something I think you'll understand. When I say that something, I want to hold your hand. So for me, listening to the Beatles were my first glimpse of something where love was not some big, profound sacrifice, and there was no guilt trip attached. It was just connection. It was just being made happy and making other people happy. It was just, like, it was accessible. It was human. It's amazing how powerful that can be when there is no shame involved. But yes, there's, I think someone said, the Beatles were nothing but a great band. Nothing more, nothing less. That person was Paul McCartney, so what does he know? For me personally, yeah, they were my first, my first experience of love as something I could experience for myself because I had value, not because I made someone else look good. And as soon as I started to feel that value or see that value in myself, I started to see it in other people. Everyone you meet, everyone, including everyone in this room, including everyone outside this room, is a whole universe of experience and emotion that is happening all the time, just like you are. And I think that is amazing and worth celebrating. But it's like, and on top of that, once you realize that, you start to think to yourself, well, if I'm being me and I'm experiencing and I'm feeling all the time and I'm just doing the best with what I have, and you start realizing what you have versus what you want to do with it, you start to look at other people and go, hold on. Yeah, everyone's doing the same thing. We're all just doing our best. We're not perfect. We have our limitations. We're limited in our resources. We're ignorant. We're kind of insecure. But we are, I think, at root, people who want to connect to other people. We want to do it in a positive way. And that is when I have that thought. All this is coming home to me, and I finally go, no one deserves to go to hell. So I didn't deconstruct overnight. Wish I could say that I did, but I had a lot of rotten thinking to give up. But the battle was begun and won, not because I heard the perfect argument told the perfect way, but because by some miracle, some genuine light got through to me and showed my hypocrisy for what it was. So, going back to the album cover for Rubber Soul, I still love this cover so much because, obviously now being a Beatle bug, I have seen a few album covers and a few pictures of the Beatles, but this one doesn't look like the Beatles to me. To me, this is still just four guys with enigmatic expressions. And I said before that it gives me this vibe of cozy uncertainty, and there's a lovely irony in that. Because if any of you know any fundamentalists or have been in fundamentalist culture, uncertainty is not something they like to entertain, let alone get cozy with. I would personally make an argument from my culture that fundamentalism is kind of the whole appeal of it is to avoid the feeling of uncertainty or insecurity. I feel like the nicest Christians I have met tend to be people who respect the fact that they don't know everything, and they don't have to know everything. Well, me personally, I don't know if there is a God or not, but I know that everyone is special, whether he made them that way or not. And I don't know if there is a hell or not, but I know if God wants me to believe that, but he also made it harder for me to love people while believing they deserve to go to hell, I kind of have to question the math. So, to answer our lovely question at the beginning of this community moment, why am I here? I am here because at some point in my life, I had to choose which was more important to me, people or beliefs. This is my choice. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Speaking for myself, at least, that really resonated with me. So thank you so much for sharing that. All right, guys. So we're going to have a quick coffee break of 20 minutes. During the coffee break, be sure to introduce yourself to someone you don't know. See the TV over the center doors for more information about upcoming events and other things and sorts, and we'll see you back here in 20 minutes. 4, 3, 2, 1. I need to do something. Like that. I'm good. All right, guys. Before we get to our featured speaker, we're going to have one more, or another set, rather, from Margot Reed. So everybody give another round of applause for Margot.
Hey, I'm back. Cool. I got one song for you right now, and then I think another one coming a little bit later. Actually, before I sing this song, I want you guys to think about it and guess, what month did you think I wrote this song in? Ooh. It's a little game. It's a little game for you. It's pretty obvious, but yeah. Okay, here we go. This is called Watery Sky. One taste of heartbreak's all it takes for me to make you fade. It's changed, you're late, and I'll keep on turning the page. Don't tell me that you're different, that you learn something new. If you blink, then you'll miss it, 'cause I learned to. Looking at me, looking at you, spring in the air, do you feel it too? Eyes like a ghost, have you heard that tune? Watery sky, can I stay until June? Stay until June. One look's all it took for me to get me on the hook. What do I do when you catch me looking through? Make my heart start to flutter. Forgot how it feels. Tongue-tied words and a stutter. I hope it's real. Looking at me, looking at you, spring in the air, do you feel it too? Eyes like a ghost, have you heard that tune? Watery sky, can I stay until? Take me back just one more time to the place it began. Meet my eyes and I'm alright. It was never my plan. Looking at me, looking at you, spring in the air, do you feel it too? Eyes like a ghost, have you heard that tune? Watery sky, can I stay until? Looking at me, looking at you, spring in the air, do you feel it too? Eyes like a ghost, have you heard that tune? Watery sky, can I stay until June? Stay until June. Can I stay until June? Stay until June. Do you want me to? Can I stay until June? Until June. Can I stay until June? Stay until June. Do you want me to? Can I stay until June? Stay until June. All right, what's your guess? When did I write that song? May!
Thank you so much, Margot. Yet another song to pull at the heartstrings. All right, guys. So a quick disclaimer before we get into our featured speaker. Our program is designed to generate conversation and engage our powers of reason, not as a forum to start debates. The following presentation has been prepared by our speaker and not by KC Oasis. Please respect the views of our speaker, and if you have any questions, a Q&A portion will follow as time permits. So without further ado, let me give a little bit of background. The City of Fountains Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit which works with the city's parks, Parks and Recreation Department to ensure ongoing funding and maintenance for the city's fountains, monuments, and sculptures. The foundation has more than $4 million and about 40 separate income-generating endowment accounts, and it taps those accounts as needed for specific projects. Please welcome, I believe Jocelyn will be speaking. Please welcome Jocelyn to tell us more about this.
Thank you so much. Oh, good, you turned the mic on. Thank you. Well, yes, I am Jocelyn. That is Joanie, and we are with the City of Fountains Foundation. As he said, it was founded in 1973 to support the fountains of Kansas City. I used to work for Parks and Rec, and I'm retired, so now I get to do my old job for free. Let me go forward here. Kansas City has become known as the City of Fountains. We have a saying here that we have more fountains than any other city but Rome. That's not entirely true, but it's good tourism. But we do have more fountains than most cities our size, or probably any other city our size and our age. We count about 200 public fountains, or publicly visible fountains, in the metro area, as well as hundreds of residential and commercially owned fountains. Many fountains were installed simply for civic beautification. Some were rededicated later as memorials, and others were built specifically as a memorial or tribute to a person or a group or event. The Parks Department is responsible for maintaining most of the ornamental assets of KCMO, which is about 49 fountains and about 115 other monuments and sculptures and ornamental structures. Within the greater metropolitan area, of course, there's lots of other ownerships of other cities, counties, and commercial spaces. For instance, the Plaza owns all the fountains within the Plaza. Those are not city fountains per se. So, some of the earliest public fountains in Kansas City, and of course in many cities, were actually springs where people could go up and fill a jug and take home water. One of the earliest ones in Kansas City, this was called Cliff Drive, a fountain. It's a spring that came out of the hill, and this postcard shows the view from 1920, where people could drive up or walk up and fill up their containers. However, in 1962, sewage was found dripping into this fountain, or leaking into it underground, and it was walled up and closed off. But in 1989, it was redesigned as a waterfall feature and an ornamental fountain, and it was dedicated to Carl DiCapo, who was a Parks Board member and a Northeast Neighborhoods resident. It is on Cliff Drive, and the road is actually closed for anything but pedestrian or bicycle traffic, and it only works intermittently depending on certain maintenance issues and vandalism issues. So another one of the earliest fountain types is these horse troughs, and these were installed by the Humane Society starting in the late 1880s, and they provided fresh flowing water as a solution to the horse diseases that were being spread. You know, in the old westerns when you see the trough of stagnant water that all the horses shared? Not good. So when horses started getting diseases, the Humane Society designed these kinds of fountains. There's a little lions at the top on the pedestal where the people could fill a jug, so they served double duty for people and horses. And then at the bottom on the pedestal, the water would trickle out, and dogs and other animals could drink there. This fountain was originally on the KCK side of the intercity viaduct, and then when cars came along, it got to be a problem, and it was in the way. So it was moved eventually to the Wyandotte County Museum, where the basin on the bottom was added in the large picture. So throughout the development of Kansas City's parks, boulevards, and parkways, fountains have been incorporated as ornamental features. The first ornamental fountain built by the city of KCMO was at 15th Street on the Paseo. This was installed in 1898. These postcard views show two different configurations from the early 1900s. It was reconfigured a few times, but it never really worked quite properly, and it was finally removed in 1941. Just north of there, though, at 9th and Paseo, this fountain's fared a bit better. It's had some challenges, but it is still there and considered our oldest working fountain in KCMO. The equipment failed and it had to be renovated. In the 1990s, it was renovated by funding from a group called the Central Exchange, which is a women's organization. And it got it back to being a fountain, and it ran, but it was still in pretty serious condition. So in the early 2000s, it was renovated again, actually 2009, completely overhauled and renovated with new technology and restoring all of the old features, the original features, which had long gone. For instance, that balustrade around the back, which was gone. But it is now again the elegant north entrance to the Paseo. Just south of there at 12th and Paseo, this wall and overlook is called the Terrace, and it's another example of a parkway embellishment that was done originally for beautification of the street. And in 1899, it was built originally in 1899, and later it was altered in 1922 to have this fountain added into the wall as a memorial to Dr. William Fitzsimons, who was a KU graduate medical school, and he was the first American officer to die in World War I. He was working in an English hospital, which was bombed by the Germans on today's date in 1917. Further south on the Paseo at Meyer is American War Mothers Fountain, which was designed by Edward Buehler Delk, the plaza's architect. And this was commissioned in 1941 by the Kansas City chapter of the American War Mothers Organization. The top of the 18-foot obelisk has eagles on each side, and on three sides are enameled stars, which are a blue star, which represented the sons who were serving in the armed forces, a silver star, or white in this case, which represented the sons who were wounded, and a gold star, which represented sons who were killed. And that's where the term you hear now, the Gold Star family, it comes from this organization. And farther south on the Paseo at 72nd Street, this four-tiered fountain was installed in a sunken garden as a tribute to Hallmark executive Harold Rice and his wife Peggy, who in the early 1970s established the City of Fountains Foundation. Yay, yay. This is the mirror pool and fountain at the entrance to Swope Park, originally used for casting practice and sailing toy boats. The construction of the basin was begun in the 1920s and completed during the Depression by the Works Progress Administration. It was later dedicated to the man who helped create Kansas City's Park and Boulevard system, Delbert Half. He was also the person who was responsible for persuading Colonel Swope to donate the parkland for Swope Park. Half's bust sits in this little granite surround at the west end of the pool, looking towards Swope Park. And that actually, the bust was created in 1916, but was not installed until 1967. And looking the other direction, the pool was recently restored. That used to be on in the winter, but it isn't anymore. At 39th Street in Gillum is the Eagle Scout Tribute Fountain, built in the 1960s by the Kansas City Council of Boy Scouts of America as a national tribute to all of their members who achieved the high rank of Eagle Scout. The Kansas City area had more Eagle Scouts at that time than any other region of the U.S. This also provided a means to preserve a small part of the Pennsylvania Station in New York City, which was a national landmark being demolished in 1964. You can see on the left the image of the sculpture as it sat over the entrance, 7th Street entrance to Pennsylvania Station. And it held a clock in the center, and when it was moved to Kansas City, the clock was replaced with the Eagle Scout emblem, and the fountain was added in front. One of the several ornamental features along Ward Parkway, the mirror pool, fills nearly the entire block between 61st and 62nd. It didn't go forward. There we go. Sorry. 62nd Street. Originally, this also was a reflecting pool used for miniature toy sailboats and also in the winter for ice skating. The fountain bubblers were added sorry, I'm messing with it. The fountain bubblers were added in 1965. And I'll talk a little bit more about some of the boulevard fountains, the bigger ones, when I come to my later section called icons. But first I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the neighborhood and parkway fountains, or park fountains. Kansas City is filled with neighborhood fountains and monuments. And after establishing neighborhoods on both sides of the state line, developer J.C. Nichols began to install fountains in his developments, and other developers later on have followed that example. The earliest neighborhood fountain on the Kansas side was the Swan Fountain and Verona Columns in Mission Hills. This was installed in 1925, 100 years ago. And in the early 1920s, landscape architect Sid Hare traveled to Europe with a map of Mission Hills and a letter of credit from J.C. Nichols and said, go forth and buy stuff. And he did, and he found these columns and the urn that sits between them, and then this cute little fountain with swans and geese he found in Verona. And he brought them all back and assembled them all together into this little park space. And another fountain that was found a little bit later, this was actually purchased in Brazil, but it's probably from Europe. It's about 300 years old, and this sits at Belinder Circle. On the Missouri side, another one that they brought back was the Romanelli Park Fountain. The original of this sculpture was in stone, created by sculptor Romano Romanelli, who the subdivision is named for. And this stone version corroded and degraded and was replaced with a bronze replica about 20 years ago. In addition to the fountains that are out on the boulevards and parkways and other high visibility locations, there are several fountains and monuments tucked into parks and courtyards where they may not be very visible or well known. The Swope Memorial is up in Swope Park. Many of Kansas City's early philanthropists and visionaries are remembered in the names of the parks and the boulevards and in the fountains. Colonel Swope was a wealthy recluse who gave the city 1,300 acres of his own land with the stipulation it be used as a public park forever. He died in 1909 and is buried in the highest point in the park in this Swope Memorial, which consists of the mausoleum and a grassy terrace and this simple pedestal fountain, all overlooking the park that bears his name. It's a hidden gem within Swope Park that many people don't know about. You can see in the lower picture, though, that it's very popular for weddings. It's closed this year. The golf course is being rebuilt, so next year, if you haven't ever been up there, try to get up there and see it. The Kansas City Country Club originally occupied the land. So you hear the Country Club Plaza, Country Club this, that, and the other thing. That occupied the land where Luce Park stands today at 52nd and Warnell. Mrs. Jacob Luce bought the land from the club in 1927 and gave it to the city for a park to be named after her husband, who was the founder of Luce Wiles Biscuit Company. These two small fountains are generally called officially the Luce Park Wall Fountain, but less officially and more commonly they are called Adam and Eve. The two statues are created by Kansas City Art Institute teacher Jeanette Klein in 1942, and the sculptures are made of colored cement, and they just each have a small trickle of water into a little pool. Also in Luce Park is the current Rose Garden Fountain on the left, and it's a limestone pedestal fountain crafted in Italy and installed in 2002. It replaced the earlier abstract fountain in the bottom right, which was made out of aluminum pipes. And that replaced the original fountain, which was a concrete, life-size woman dressed in roses called the Spirit of the Rose Garden. She disappeared in 1950 and has never been seen again. Another beautiful garden is the Kaufman Gardens on Rock Hill Road by Brush Creek. And this contains fountains and sculptures and beautiful plantings. The gardens are open to the public for free all year round. In the West Garden Room is a long pool called the Canal Fountain. And these three sculptures by artist Tom Corbin, there's two that are the same and one that's different. They're called Jazz 1 and Jazz 2, and they are prancing through the streams of water in this garden. you'll hear the name Tom Corbin quite a bit. Now, the Children of the Trails fountain is on the Courthouse Square in Olathe. It's dedicated to the memory of children who died along the trails west and Santa Fe and Oregon trails. There's a lot of monuments around Kansas City for that westward expansion, but there's not very many fountains, and this is one of the few. The seahorse fountains at City Hall were installed in 1938 as decorative features flanking the City Hall Plaza at 12th and Oak. Our foundation holds an endowment which ensures that these sculptures are regularly cleaned. However, the plaza is currently torn out and they are not there, but they will be back by the end of the year and should be running again next year. I like this fountain. It's very different. It's a 4,000-pound ball of granite, and it sits in a perfect socket with a little bit of water bubbling up underneath it. And when the water's on, it creates just enough of a film that you can walk up and push the big ball of granite and it'll spin a different direction. And it's called a Kugel fountain, which means ball in German. And obviously this is a type of fountain that lends itself very nicely to sports facilities. And there is one at the Royal Stadium that looks like a baseball and one at the Overland Park Soccer Complex that looks like a soccer ball. This one was put in by Kansas City Life Insurance Company in 1997 in front of their building to celebrate their anniversary. On the other extreme, the largest fountains in Kansas City area is the Unity Village at Nearly Summit. These pools are over 300 feet long and contain 80 spray nozzles and 1.5 miles of piping, which originally was part of the air conditioning system for the buildings. And at the far east end of this long plaza is another little rose garden with a beautiful little fountain there too. So that gets us to the big ones. The fountains you've probably driven past and seen, but you may not know all that much about. The Northland Fountain at North Oak and North Oak Trafficway and Vivian Road was the first one built by KCMO north of the river. It was turned on in 1983 and is one of the few fountains in the metro that operates all year round. And it creates these wonderful ice sculptures when the weather is freezing. The proposal to build the fountain was initiated by Anita Gorman, who was Parks Board president and a Northland resident. And the park in which this fountain sits is now named Gorman Park. Also in the Northland, another popular fountain is Children's Fountain at 32nd and North Oak. This opened in 1995. Sculptor Tom Corbin used real children from the Northland as models for the sculptures of 6 children playing in the water. Another one of the large fountains in Kansas City, this is at Kauffman Stadium, and Ewing Kauffman wanted a spectacular water feature for the Royal Stadium, so he spent $1.5 million of his own money to build this when the stadium opened in 1973. This was one of the largest privately owned fountain in the country. A special water jet, when there's a Royals home run, it goes off. And we'll see what happens with that one. Firefighters Memorial, also by Tom Corbin. The figures in the Firefighters Fountain at 31st and just west of Broadway. It's one of the largest fountains in KCMO. And this memorial was inspired by the explosion in 1989, which killed 6 firefighters. The sculpted firefighters in the fountain are pointing towards the location of the explosion in South Kansas City. It was designed in 1991, and it pays tribute to all the men and women who have battled blazes and saved countless lives in Kansas City since the late 1800s. And the fountain nozzles are designed to look like fire hoses. In 2015, new artwork was added to the site, which consists of a memorial wall with updated and corrected names of over 100 firefighters who have died in the line of duty since 1887. And this lone figure, also a bronze sculpture by Corbin, stands in the circular plaza behind the fountain, creating an emotional and contemplative space. And the site is obviously very emotional and important to firefighters and their families. Another very emotional site is the Vietnam Veterans Memorial at 43rd and Broadway. This was dedicated in 1985, and the Parks Department donated the land and private donations raised the funds. In back of the fountain is this granite wall, which has 348 names of those killed and missing in action from the 5-county metro area. The Henry Woolman Block Fountain on Pershing Road by Union Station and Liberty Memorial was a gift to the city in September of 2001 in the name of the co-founder of H&R Block upon his retirement. The computer choreographs the constantly changing dancing waters. Now, the Spirit of Freedom Fountain at Brush Creek and Cleveland was designed to blend the fire-like image of freedom and the extemporaneous qualities of Kansas City jazz. It was dedicated in 1981 in memory of the contributions, or in memory of Bruce Watkins, a councilman who dreamed of a fountain as a way to honor the contributions of Kansas City's African-American citizens. And the sculpture was created by artist Richard Hunt. Volker. I love this fountain. This was dedicated in 1958 in memory of philanthropist William Volker. The sculptures were created by Swedish artist Carl Milles, depicting a story which symbolizes the generosity and charity for which William Volker was known. The sculptures portray Martin of Tours, a Roman soldier who cut his cloak in half to give to a beggar in the cold, and he later converted and became Saint Martin of Tours. The sculptures contain a few interesting jokes in some ways. If you get close, you can see the seated angel on the separate pedestal is wearing a wristwatch on his left hand, and with his right hand he's scratching his leg, which the artist explained was because there's so many mosquitoes on Earth. Not wrong. These sculptures, of course, have been recently vandalized, if you have heard about that, and not for the first time. So a few pieces, the beggar's leg was cut off and a couple of other things, and those were stolen and gone. So the Parks Department and the Fountains Foundation are working together with the Carl Milles Museum in Stockholm, Sweden, to try to get molds or digital information so we can have the parts remade. There happens to just be a copy of this fountain in Sweden. If you've lived here long enough, you may remember this fountain was originally on the other side of Brush Creek, out in the lawn, which is called Tice Park. There is a movement afoot to try to get it put back there. We are still in the very early stages of fundraising, and it's going to cost a bunch. But it's very inaccessible where it is now and very difficult to see. And when it was over on the other side in the grass, there's much more accessibility there and visibility. And it connects it more to the Nelson Atkins Sculpture Garden. So that is still a project we're trying to support. And we had these renderings done of what it could look like if it gets put back over there. Just $2.5 million is all. So the most photographed fountain in Kansas City is now called Mill Creek Park Fountain. It was dedicated in 1960 as a memorial to Plaza founder J.C. Nichols. And a few years ago, as you probably remember, his name was removed from the fountain after a reevaluation of his development practices related to segregation. But the fountain sculptures were originally created in Paris in 1910 for the Long Island estate of American industrialist Clarence Mackey. The estate was being torn down in 1947, and the sculptures were purchased by an art dealer in New York. And after Nichols' death in 1950, the Nichols family purchased the sculptures and brought them to Kansas City. It's believed that the 4 figures on horseback represent 4 major rivers of the world, probably the Rhine, the Seine, the Volga, and the Mississippi rivers. In between those sculptures are smaller figure groups of children riding fish, which were traditionally called dolphins. They're fish. When Miller Nichols bought the fountain, one of those small 4 dolphin figures was missing. So he had a local artist create a similar sculpture, which was created and put into the northeast quadrant when the fountain was built here in 1960. In 2010, the missing dolphin came to light and living in Florida. And the city and the foundation were able to purchase it and bring it back to Kansas City. And it is now this fountain in the foreground on the left, and it was put back in the fountain in 2015. And in the oval is the replica that was created in 1960, and that sits on a pedestal right nearby. He was there for a long time. They're brothers and sisters. Across the street is the Seville Light Fountain on a traffic island at 47th and Mill Creek Parkway. It's a 1/3 size replica of the famed fountain and light that has stood for centuries near the cathedral in Seville, Spain. It was a gift to the city from the Nichols Company in 1967, and it represents our sister city relationship with Seville. The tower consists of red and beige granite, or travertine stone, and white marble masks at the lower part spit water into the bowls. At the top is a very elaborate bronze light. And you can see in the background is the Giralda Tower, which is also a 1/3 size replica of this tower that sits near this fountain in the plaza in Spain. We don't have a lot of time, I think, for the plaza, but there's a few key fountains in the plaza to talk about. This is commonly called Bacchus. It was originally called Pan, and he sits in the Chandler Court overseeing people having drinks in the courtyard there for the restaurant. And just down the street, this is Neptune, the Roman god of the sea, who soars from the water in a chariot drawn by 3 mighty horses near the corner of 47th and Warnell. This was cast in lead in England for a Philadelphia estate in 1946, and that estate later became a convent, and I guess they didn't want a Roman god out front, so they sold it. And then somebody else sold it, and eventually nobody really wanted it, and it was put on a train headed to be melted down at a smelter. And somebody called J.C. Nichols when the train came through Kansas City, Miller Nichols, and he went down there and saw it and bought it for the price of scrap metal. It's very popular in this town, too. Just another little fountain in the plaza. This is the Allen Memorial Fountain, dedicated to J.C. Nichols' daughter and her husband, who died in a fire in 1962. It's a sweet little fountain. And around the corner are the mermaids, which are probably the oldest fountain in the plaza. And these are about 300 years old, white marble from Italy. And you thought I forgot this one. I didn't. Meyer Circle, this is my grand finale. I don't know what time I'm at. But the fountain in Meyer Circle and at Ward Parkway is officially called the Seahorse Fountain, and it was donated to the city by J.C. Nichols and, like others, installed in 1925. It's 100 years old in this location, but the original white marble sculptures had already stood for centuries in a square in Venice before Nichols bought them. And over the years, the seahorses, bulls, and cherubs have been victims of vandalism and weather and theft. And the original marble sculptures became so badly damaged that the Parks Department replaced them with limestone replicas in 1992. And then another major renovation in 2017, which our foundation helped raise funds for. That focused mostly on the mechanical, the plumbing, the vaults, the lighting, and other issues, but didn't really do a lot of work on the fountain sculptures. And if you've driven down Ward Parkway, you may have noticed that the small upper bowl broke in half in June and fell into the center bowl, and the whole fountain's been turned off most of the summer. So our foundation is working with the Parks Department to determine a path forward and figure out how we're going to proceed on repairing this. We do have a good endowment for this that won't cover all of it, but it will help. And we have a number of products that we're interested in and that we'll sell to support fundraising effort. It does look now like all of the sculptures are probably going to have to be replaced again. Limestone and water is a very erosive situation, and it's not going to last that much longer. But I like to conclude with this beautiful picture of it, all lit up, to remind us of why it is worth fixing and why fountains are so important to Kansas City. I believe that beauty and art are not optional, and they are a civic duty and responsibility. And that's my story. Thank you so much. Oh, wait.
Thank you so much, Jocelyn. And could you tell us about, because there's going to be some merchandise in the lobby, right?
Yes, there is some merchandise in the lobby. My pal Joanie is out there, and we have a coffee table book, a coloring book, a puzzle, and the brochures, and some prints that were done by artist Jim Hamill, which were donated to the foundation. And she can take credit cards. We don't have a lot of change for cash, but exact change or credit cards.
Awesome, wonderful. So if you're interested in that and you loved the fountains of our city.
And I should also point out, those are also for sale on our website, which is cityoffountains.org. Awesome.
So yeah, if you love if you love the fountains of our city, go out to the merchandise table and consider buying something. Real quickly, does anyone have any questions? Quick reminder to remember to phrase your question as a question to help the speaker answer.
Why do you believe that beauty and art are a civic duty? I've never heard that before. What do you mean by that?
I just saw that quote last winter, and they were talking about Paris, the history of Paris, and I just thought, absolutely, it makes sense. No culture in history has existed without art. If you look back to the cave dwellings, they painted on their walls, and there's a lot of, human need for art in every aspect that we can get it. And my cousin actually is the one who told me art is not optional, and I have adopted that phrase, and I love it. My whole family are artists, and so I feel the need.
Is there a comprehensive list of all the fountains, including their locations and whether or not they're functional?
There is a almost comprehensive list on our website. I do occasionally find things that are missing. So we're still in the process of getting that complete, but it's pretty complete. And we have a tab for fountains and a tab for monuments and sculptures. And our website was updated a few years ago, so it's much better than it was for a while, but it still has some issues. And I think that's probably the most complete and the most accurate information in the city. There are some books. There's one from the 1980s, which had everything up until the 1985, but a lot of things have been added since then. So I would say our website probably has the most comprehensive list that I know of. We also have, as part of our organization, is the Adopt a Monument Committee, which has, for over 20 years, gone out and surveyed all public art as it's added all over the city. We have a conservator from the Nelson Atkins Museum, Paul Benson, who's been in charge of that project for well over 20 years. All of that information was then sent to the Smithsonian Institution to be posted on their website, which is SIRIS, S-I-R-I-S. And, the Smithsonian being in the situation it's in now, I'm not sure how much longer that website will be there. So we started downloading all the information we could of our fountains. They have a national inventory of art from all over the country that was started in 1992, I think. So I don't know any other site that's more comprehensive than our website. But and also the parks departments. Each department of each part of the city will have its own information. All the cities, I should say. Are there any others? You have one back there.
In Europe, you see people commonly drinking out of the fountains. I mean, they just go up like it's a drinking fountain, and they drink out of them. So my question is, are they doing something different? Are they filtering that, or is ours just as safe if you were really thirsty?
It's a very good question. Please don't play in the fountains. Don't drink the fountains. Don't wash your food in the fountains. Don't take a bath in the fountains. You don't know where that water has been or who else has been in it. There's geese, there's ducks, there's trash. I have had drug chemicals dumped in fountains. So I would say definitely don't drink out of the fountains. As I said at the beginning, a lot of the fountains in older cities were designed as sources for drinking water. And in Paris, for instance, they had like 350 small neighborhood fountains in every little plaza courtyard all over the city in the 1800s, which is why I say we don't necessarily have more fountains than any other city, because they had to get their drinking water there for centuries, so they created ornamental fountains. And I'm sure those are probably still fresh running water. And, if it's fresh and it's running straight through and going down the drain, it's probably safe to drink. But most of our fountains are recirculating because we can't afford the water. So, and frankly, the Parks Department is shutting off the few last ones that are not recirculating because the Water Department has charged them a lot of money for the water. Any others? He's got the mic.
Yeah, I'm from Wichita, and Wichita has had their own fountains, and one of the things they had to do is they had to chlorinate them. Does Kansas City have any stories like that?
Traditionally, there has been a lot of chemical treatment of all the fountains in order to keep them, she has a question back there, and in order to keep them clean and clear. You will have probably noticed recently the water is not always as clean and clear as it used to be, and there's a great deal of algae. Some fountains are green or black or all kinds of other colors with algae. Water treatment is a constant issue. The balance of chemicals, if you put too much in, you corrode the stone or you eat away some caulk or mortar. So it's a very difficult balance, and it takes a lot of staff time and a lot of money. And the Parks Department just doesn't have that right now. So it's been difficult to manage that balance. I would say that the water quality the last 2 years has been shocking. And some of it also has to do with the way the water is treated at the treatment plant, what water is coming downstream, how much the farm chemicals are in there, how much of a storm. It changes constantly, so it's a real tricky balance. But don't drink the water.
About when did the ice skating and toy boats end, and what are the chances of bringing that back?
Well, Mirror Pool on Ward Parkway, the jets were installed in 1965, but they're sort of at water or below water level. So if the water's deep enough, and it's quite a shallow pool, I have seen people skate out there in the last 10 years or so. It's not very often that the water really freezes that solid. And you certainly wouldn't want to skate on a lake anymore. They used to do that here, but nothing freezes that solid anymore in this region. Not reliably so. You do hear every winter somebody falls through the ice somewhere. The shallower pools, which I think Mirror Pool is probably the only one left, that's shallow on Ward Parkway. It's still possible. You just would have to, they don't officially announce, okay, the ice is thick enough, everybody go out. The Parks Department used to test the ice and make sure of that, but nobody does that anymore. So I think that's probably the only one that would be possible. And I don't see it happening again because of the maintenance and the liability and all of those other issues. Of course, the skating rink at Crown Center is still available, I think. I think it is, isn't it? Yeah. So that's probably the only place I know of to skate anymore. Anything else? Well, thank you very much. That was fun.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jocelyn. And once again, if anybody's interested in merch, you can find that at a table out in the lobby. Joanne will be there, and she can show you all of their wares. All right. So while our musician is coming back to the stage, I just wanted to remind everybody that Kansas City Oasis is a 501c3 nonprofit, which is run solely by donations and volunteer time and effort. If you like the topics and music today, consider donating through kcoasis.org/donate or by Venmo, which is conveniently up there. Recurring monthly donations are the most helpful. All right, and it is time for one last song from Margot. And remember, we have a cash tip jar on the stage, and you can also support her through Venmo, which is listed up there. So without further ado, let's give a round of applause to Margot for one last set.
Oh, yeah. Hey guys, if you like what you hear, this Saturday, September 13th, at the Rhino in North Kansas City, I'm going to be opening for a couple other awesome acts. Follow me on Instagram. That's really where I post most of my things, what I do. Yeah, this is going to be this Saturday. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's, I think, at 8. You'll see on Instagram. But yeah, I got one more song. Thank you guys so much for having me again. I've really had a wonderful time, and I've enjoyed all the speakers, and it's been great. So, okay, here's one more song for you. Dips, that's where I like it. That summer breeze is closing in. Hold the door, keep it open. It's not bad, it's just beginning. Ride the wave if I sink or swim. Sunsets in the rear view, free road, golden from blue. Darkness turns tomorrow, no time left to borrow. I like it when you call my name. Say it loud, don't be afraid. Came back to see the seasons change. I miss the crisp, cool air on a fall day. It's not bad, it's just beginning. Ride the wave if I sink or swim. Sunsets in the rear view, free road, golden from blue. Darkness turns tomorrow, no time left to borrow. I like the places I know. Familiar streets make it feel like home. I'll hold it, never let it go. There's a part of me that only here knows. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Margot. Another amazing song. Oh, I'm holding it upside down. That would cause problems, wouldn't it? All right. So thankfully, the party doesn't have to end. You can join us for lunch after Oasis in the Crown Center food court. Choose your lunch at one of the many restaurants, and we'll push several tables together and continue the conversation. Oh, yeah, some fountains. Which fountains are those? Okay. Okay. And just a quick preview of what's happening here next week. Our speaker is going to be Rachel Kozid on the art of George Caleb Bingham. Our musical guests are going to be Tom Trashmouth Baker and Jim Baseman, with community moment from our very own Will Manning. All right, so be there for that, y'all. And before you head to lunch, take a few minutes to help clean up. There are many volunteer opportunities as well for Oasis each week, and you can see the tasks in the lobby marked need help, like I talked about at the beginning in the box. We want to thank again this week's presenters, Joanne, Jocelyn, and Elisa. and our musician, Margot. Thank you so much, guys, for being here and sharing your talents. And thank you for tuning in, being here in person and tuning in online. And we'll see you next week.
We had our cleanup crew and the doing the yard and everything else, and there's a bunch of yard waste over here. We could use some volunteers. Robbie's going to take away that stuff with her truck. She needs some help to load it up, so anybody can do that. That would be appreciated. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. So I think that wraps up programming. So thank you all for being here, and we'll see you next week.